Fish, chips and curry sauce, one of the most popular comfort foods in the north of England. Although you can recreate this dish using a regular oven, I did cook this in an air fryer. It will work in a normal oven, you just have to increase the time and temperature. The chips came out perfect and the fish was crispy to the last bite. The main things that make this fish and chips different to fish and chips is it takes up less time, mess, heat, oil, is quicker, more convenient, and ultimately more healthy. Topped with a Chinese curry sauce and pickled raisins, which is a little bit of a play on the curry sauces that you find in chippies in the northwest of England. Some people call it Chinese curry, some people call it yellow curry, but it does make you think, what does curry actually mean? Is this curry? I'll answer that question later in the video. This is Fish and Chips 2.0. Roll on with the food. First thing to do is get these bad boys knocked out, these pickled raisins. The longer they're in the fridge, the more they get to mingle with all the flavors and develop their flavors. All you want to do is toast all your spices off in a dry pan. And then add your liquids and sugar. Stir fully until incorporated. Throw in your raisins, stir them for a couple of minutes, and Bob's your uncle. Robert is your father's brother. Stick them in a mason jar or some other similar container. After they've cooled down, put the lid on and stick them in the fridge. If you cannot be bothered with the pickled raisin part of the recipe, just throw some raisins in the curry sauce right before you serve it. Maybe with an extra little squirt of lemon juice for acidity. Now it's time to make this Chinese curry sauce. With the sauce, all we are doing is sauteing off the garlic, the peppers, and the ginger to get a nice brown on them, some caramelization, a mild reaction. And then after we've got a nice brown on them, we will throw in our bay leaves. Throwing bay leaves into a pan with a little bit of oil is the best way to coax the flavor that's locked deep inside them. The flavor compounds in bay leaves are oil and alcohol soluble, but not water soluble. So that now we have the chicken stock. After we have the stock, we're going to add the curry powder, give it a little stir and allow that to simmer and allow all these flavors to melt together. 7 or 8 minutes on a very low heat. Take the bay leaves out. Blend everything up with your blitzer of choice. Could be an immersion blender, food processor, however you blend things, blend it like that. Add back to the pan. Then throw your bay leaves back in and a couple of tablespoons of honey. And we're going to thicken it with a cornstarch slurry, which is just some cornstarch and water. This is a very typical way of thickening sauces in particularly Chinese food. It lends a completely different viscosity to it. I also added a dash of cayenne pepper and some lemon juice. Even though cayenne can add a touch of spice and lemon juice can add a wee bit of acidity, they can also act in the way that salt does, which is bringing the rest of the flavors to the foreground and enhancing them. The whole sauce then gets finished off with a dash of fish sauce and a couple of dashes of soy sauce. Even though I didn't film the soy sauce, I did use it. Okay, so as promised, I'm going to try and define what exactly the word curry means. There's, in my opinion, 3 distinct varieties. There's the curry leaf, and ironically the curry leaf is very rarely used in most curries. Then there is this stuff, it's called curry powder. And this is usually what you would find in anything that's just called curry sauce. And it's a very fenugreek forward spice mix with no curry leaf in it. And then you've got your third type, which is the catch-all phrase for lots of Indian dishes, for instance. And those are curries, spelled the same way as the other two, but they come from the Indian word curry, K-A-R-I, which simply means gravy. So curry means gravy, curry means a sauce-based dish. Now it's time to make these air fries. You don't have to spin your potato like this, but I like to do it. I like russet potatoes, they've got a lovely texture. I cut them up to about yay thickness. This is how I like my fries. You may cut yours however you like, but you know, generally cooking them in an air fryer like this, the thicker the better. I'm going to blanch them off in some water with salt and vinegar. Recipe in the description as always. They're going to go in here high temperature for about 10 minutes or until tender. After they are at that point, we are going to strain them off and let them cool a little bit. I throw on some ice to shock them, and whilst they're cooling down, I'm going to make a spice mix. Garam masala, chili, roasted garlic powder, some paprika, a nice amount of cracked pepper, and a little bit of oil just to coat the fries. It's going to help with their crispy texture and with the adhesion of the spice mix. And so are these things, nigella seeds, indispensable in any kitchen in my opinion. They're going to go in the air fryer on 400 degrees with a few bay leaves on top. Remember, oil soluble. That's why the oil is there. And whilst those are in there, it's time to get the fish ready. A little bit of salt and a little bit of lemon juice on the old kordarunskis to get some flavor underneath the panko crumbs. Then it's just a case of simply flour the fish and pat it of any excess flour, give it a little wash in some egg wash, and then panko crumb. Finally worked out how to use just a small amount of panko crumbs and not throw those away. Anyways, some oil in a nice hot pan and a knob of butter. The butter's there really just to give it some added flavor, but you can omit that if you want to keep it healthier. Because basically there's no air frying going on with this fish whatsoever. It's just going to get finished off with the air fryer, simply because that way it will be ready at the same time as the chips. So that goes in the air fryer, badabushkis. After which, once those fries, chips, whatever you want to call them, are lovely and brown, they shall be removed and placed into a bowl. Check the fish dead quick, make sure it's not up to temp yet, it's not overcooked by any means. Throw a bay leaf on the floor of your kitchen, and then I love this stuff, Malden sea salt. I highly recommend you get some too. Then I threw the spice mix on top of the chips, but then realized that the spice mix wasn't quite adhering to the chips that well, so I added a cheeky bit of extra virgin olive oil, with the bonus being that the heat didn't destroy the flavors of it. And then mixed it up and gave it a little taste of runskis with the fabled curry sauce. And now it's just a simple case of serving everything. Put the fish on top of those bad boys. One thing I did the other day when I was trying this dish out is I put the raisins on separate. I don't like the idea of that anymore. I'm going to put the raisins in the sauce. I also chipped in some freshly chopped parsley and cilantro just to freshen this bad boy up. Look at her, she's so crispy. These fries, let's try fry. An air fry. You know, they're floppy-ish, but it's all down to the crunchy cruncher. Guess I'll take it. Let's have a crack at this. Let's have a little bite. Oh, it is still very crispy. A little bit of everything, huh? I don't know why, but like just cod in general, I think I could eat it every day. It's just so flaky, meaty, so meaty. These chips are chips. Let's just define these bad boys. They're not fries. It's not an air fryer. It's a little tiny convection oven. Is what it is. It's not a fryer, but uses air as a medium, which is more effective at, you know, keeping things crispy and introducing the old Maillard-Rooney's, because think of it like in a regular oven is radiant heat, yeah? So the whole oven as a whole is getting warm, and that heat is transferring from thing to thing to thing, whereas there is almost no separation between the heat source and the object, because there's a medium between it. Like when you boil something, there's the thing, the water, and the heat. So there's a lot more connection between the elements. Look at that. The cilantro really gives it fresh, well-needed fresh boost to rooney's. These chips are great. I'll use that all the time. I mean, of course, they're not like crunching in my mouth now, because they've got sauce all over them, which is the whole point. This is how you eat chips in England, with either gravy or curry all over them. This tastes exactly like you would get on any high street in the mother country. Like, look at it. It's lovely and spicy, this dish, with just enough fragrance. And these raisins really like balance it all out. Balance the roonies. I'm gonna try and do a lot more stuff with the old tabletop oven. But till then, see you next time.